Hello, everyone. We are live. This is so exciting. We're very excited to be in conversation with you today. My name is Annalisa Winther, and I am the co founder of Top 50 Farmers. We are working to make regenerative agriculture the industry standard, and we do that by elevating and empowering the farmers across the European Union who are leading the way. So every year we open applications to find 50 more regenerative farmers that are working to not only feed their communities, but also to think about our greater ecosystem and how we steward that. And today I am joined by one of the first farmers to join the top 50, Mateusz Ciasnocha. Ciasnocha. You can tell me how to say it right, so everybody knows.
Mateusz Ciasnocha. Hi everyone. But you got it close. Congratulations.
From Poland. And he was one of the first farmers to apply for the top 50 program. And today we wanted to share with you a live testimonial of what it means to be a part of this program, what it means to be a part of this community, and dive into why you should also apply. Right now, we have applications open until November 23rd at midnight or until we reach 150 applications. So it is a good thing to start early. You want to be part of that initial place. But of course, we also wanted to ground that in the experience of your fellow alumni. So when you join the program, you'll be connected to farmers like Mateusz. So this is the beginning of something amazing. And I'd love to start by having you introduce yourself and a little bit about your farm so the folks who are tuning in have context of how do you work within the space of agriculture.
Thank you, Annalisa. Thank you for the opportunity to share a small part of our story. And if you remember only one thing from our conversation today, do apply if you are a farmer. And regardless of whether you are a farmer or not, spread this call with fellow farmers around Europe because it's a great program. So our farm and also the person that is sharing his experience with you, Ciasnocha Family Farms is located in northern Poland in the Vistula Delta. Think about our region as the Netherlands, below seawater level, very fertile, very productive agricultural area, one of the best productive agricultural areas in Poland. Having that said, our soils within that area are pretty not poor. They are not poor, but they are difficult to work with. So that's where our farm is embedded in. We are embedded in that ecosystem since the 70s of last century, when my family moved from other parts of Poland to farm there, starting with 8 hectares, so 20 acres for those of you who speak acres. And we grew the farm now to a level of 730 hectares, 1,800 acres, a little bit over. And we specialize in hay production, which has stories of transition. We started with very mixed farm, trying to survive effectively, then specializing in producing crops for the market, milk firstly, then cereals and sugar beets, then only cereals, then cereals in a sustainable way from 2004 to 2008, thanks to the EU support, which Poland entered in 2004, and then further transitions accelerated and supported by the CAP, Common Agricultural Policy, equivalent of US Farm Bill, to be in the model in which we are in right now, which is, we believe, and challenge us on that if you think differently, embedded in the ecosystem that the farm is embedded in. So we have meadows, semi-natural meadows, which we run to produce highest quality hay, which we supply to domestic and international markets, and that's the farm itself. Out of that, just last 15 seconds, out of that farming experience and our story, living that story, making a lot of mistakes along the way, I run 2 other businesses, European Carbon Farmers and Farm of Francesco, which are trying to leverage that experience for bigger food system transformation across the world, of course, speaking about very specific localities. And I serve on a few boards as well with that experience.
You're busy.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
Yes, I am.
And I'm curious why you applied for Top 50 Farmers. So given all the work you're doing and the many fingers you have in different pots, why did you think that this would be supportive to what you're doing?
It's not only supportive, but it's so pivotal. It's easy to be busy, and we all are busy. It is rare even though there's so much happening. It is rare to be strategic. It is rare to be shining light, showcasing and leveraging local or reality-rooted experience to a national and global and pan-European or global levels, as it is the case with Top 50 Farmers. So I find that community that you guys are co-hosting, we are co-creating with existing farmers, with future farmers, with a lot of other partners, a lot of which are, there in the second or third row. It's really big family to be absolutely pivotal for us growing and running more resilient business on different dimensions of resilience, and doing that at scale in Europe and outside globally.
Totally. When you apply for Top 50 Farmers, there's three main benefits that we offer. One is visibility. So it is a platform where we will be named one of Europe's top 50 farmers for that year. And that opens up a lot of media opportunities, speaking opportunities, but it's also something we've seen farms parlay with investors, that it creates more confidence, or their customers feel more proud that, wow, I'm buying from a farm that's got this level of recognition. We also tell your story via all of our social media channels, and we also share our website. So if you're curious to read Mateus's profile, you can go ahead on our website and check it out, and we'll be sure to link to that. It's an amazing story that we'll come back to in a second. We also offer this recognition program, which is really designed with a farmer's first mentality. So when you join the cohort, we start by looking at what you've expressed in your application data in terms of where are you looking to grow your farm business, what's really important to you, and then how can we support, looking at who else is in the cohort and the major themes that are emerging, knowing that you have this incredible alumni network, but you also have 49 other farmers who are on this year-long journey with you. And there's so much knowledge that can be exchanged, as well as key challenges. And we've seen that problems get solved quite fast. There's a lot of inspiration that comes from that connection. And then, of course, there's additional opportunities around opening up new markets and financing opportunities. What you said, I think, very artfully, is that this is a pivotal moment because regenerative is fringe. It's not the majority of the population that is farming in this way. And we hope there will be many more that it does become the industry standard. But when we come together and we raise our voices and we show these diverse role models and examples of not only how folks get into farming to begin with, but their business models, the crop type, the different structures that they've created, and that this is happening all over Europe, it creates a blueprint demonstrating that regeneration is possible everywhere. And it defeats the argument that I know we so often hear, which is like, that wouldn't really work in my neighborhood. So I'm curious, because you do a lot of work on a national level, but also on a European level, how you've seen the Top 50 Farmers platform support that work you do around policy and around creating the conditions for regeneration to thrive in Poland and across the EU.
So all that you shared, and indeed there are a lot of facets of the value that Top 50 Farmers is creating and co-creating with farmers and others, and for farmers and for others. And all of those are true. 1 year is a lot of time, but at the same time, especially doing a lot of things. And I can attest to you that every single farmer that has been recognized this year, and I'm sure it will be the case for the second cohort, is not having a lot of free time, right? So you can strategically pursue a few opportunities, knowing that you are part of a family. I like to use the word family rather than a community, which it is also a community that will stay, right? So I can reach out to the existing farmers, to new farmers, and to cohort 3 and 4 and 5 coming later. So this is the mindset. Our mindset is the mindset of a family. And so for us, we pursued 3 pathways very strategically within that year that is finishing. We were learning from other cohort members by joining as much of the activities and processes designed for us, for the cohort, to just listen to our experiences, to delve into topics that are of interest for us, like financing or finding new markets or advocacy. And so that was our priority, engaging with the cohort internally and building human relationships, and through that learning from the cohort as priority number one. Priority number two was doing the same, but sharing our story, our insight, and as part of that, I led one of those monthly sessions in which we've been sharing our policy work and policy insights and challenges. That was great opportunity for us to refine and rethink and inspire, but also to be challenged and take that to the next level afterwards. So that was second area. And the third area is to, once again, strategically responding to opportunities that are coming our way thanks to the program. And I can refer to one specific opportunity that happened literally last week, thanks to your guys' work, meaning Top 50 Farmers team or secretariat, to use the UN language. A conference from Serbia was looking for a farmer to share his or her regenerative story. The team identified me to be suggested for that conference. And long story short, it's a little bit longer story, but we'll make it short. I went there. I had an amazing time, hopefully represented the cohort well. And that would not have happened at all if not being part in this program. What was even better, and that's the last experience I'm sharing within that bigger experience of Serbia last week, what really surprised me and made me very excited and hopeful about the future with a lot of positive energy was that the organizer of the conference said to, or informed Polish embassy in Belgrade, hey, we have Polish farmer coming over to us. Why don't you come and just be there as the embassy? And representative of the embassy, second secretary responsible for economic affairs, drove all the way to where the conference was taking place from the capital, listened to my presentation. We had very good action-oriented conversation after that, and he returned back to the capital.
Wow.
And the selling point that he told me, like, hey, how could I not do that? Was, you are one of top 50 farmers of Europe, so of course I want to come here and listen from you. And I can tell you from experience of dealing with diplomatic services, with a lot of exceptions, but on average, you do not have embassy representatives going somewhere to listen to something. And he really wanted to do that and went and was grateful to have the opportunity of listening to his, his fellow citizens sharing his experience in the country that he's serving in his diplomatic mission. And that was just like pure cherry on top, which I was not expecting. And Top 50 Farmers were, the selling point that made him say, okay, I want to go, I need to go.
Yes, and we always want to stress that this isn't just about recognition. There are some farms that may be more established, and this is a wonderful, let's call it a notch in the belt. But for many farmers, they don't have a platform at all, and they have an incredible story, but they maybe don't have the outlet or the way to talk about it. And there is so much desire to do local work, economic work, political work, social work to get the conditions where regenerative really takes off and folks start buying in this direction and policymakers start thinking in this direction. So it does mean something to have such a title as Top 50 Farmers and to be part of this. And it is an amazing springboard to then continue whatever work you're doing, knowing that you are backed up and you have an incredible support system and many like-minded peers from across the continent who are there to support you and who are right there with you. And I wonder, because you've been at this a long time, you have been very outspoken about what do we need to make regenerative successful from a political aspect. You've also worked internationally on this. So what is important for you about why farmers need to raise their voice and why they need to speak up and use this platform to talk about what they need to really be successful in this line of business?
Two main reasons. One is obvious, but not actually few farmers are aware of that from my experience. If you don't share your experience, i.e. your story, but your experience, your story rooted in your experience is different level of a story. Like, it's not just a story, it's your story.
Yeah.
So if you don't share your story, somebody else will share your story.
Mm-hmm.
And chances are, that story will be good, but chances are that story will not be the story that you would like to be sharing, or it's not entirely true, or very often it's a story that is tweaked in some way that is serving somebody's interest, or it's being used for polarization or antagonism, to stop being positive in this LinkedIn life. But that's the reality, right? Especially further away that mythical farmer is. Think about Mercosur, the debate in Poland right now, or in the European Union. The easier it is to say, look, it's like that there. And then my question is like, hey, but like, let's ask people who are there, right? So there's a lot of words, but basically the point is, you have a story that needs to be shared. It is probably being shared, and if it's not being shared by you,
Yeah.
there will be challenges with what is being shared. So share your story. Second sub point within that is, there are a lot of farmers out there, unfortunately, and this is the job internally that we have to do towards our sector, which is probably, not probably, from my experience and my insight, is even more important than sharing the story outside, with the outside stakeholders. We have, like, the regenerative farmers have, if you will, a good story to share, regenerative story to share, which is the story that needs sharing. It's not only the agricultural story that needs sharing, but it's the story of regeneration. And the model of doing that through specific farmers, so not trying to arrive at the situation yet in which we have an association trying to represent their regenerative farmer or their regeneration, but doing that in a really bottom-up way of saying, hey, look, there are 50 case studies, examples, lighthouses, whatever the term is. Probably we are all of that, or some of us are different shades and shapes of lighthouses, demo farms, experiments that we are running, right? Like, those are examples. We are not saying, hey, look, this is the model, but there are 50 models out there that you can learn from. None of them is perfect, but one thing, coming back to the first point, they have a story that is theirs, and they can present it, defend it, and very importantly, you can leverage that story for policy making, which is really the biggest frontier, or just for buying healthy food for you as a consumer, supporting healthy business model of that farm that you might have not known about, if not for top 50 farmers.
What would you then say to the farmer who's listening to this and going, but I don't know if I'm good enough? Like, is my story good enough? Have I done enough? Or I just don't, many farmers are quite humble and they love the work they're doing. I think many farmers I've met would even want to do it for free because they're just so passionate about feeding people and working with nature. So, what would you say to them in terms of that little bit of, I don't know if I should apply? This is a little edgy for me. This is taking up a spotlight. It's saying I matter. Oh, and all those feelings that can be brought up in the process.
You matter. That's the point I think we are trying to make, and that's one of the core beliefs of top 50 farmers. Like, you matter. That's why top 50 farmers is there. I can relate with all those feelings. Hug the feelings. You mentioned in the question, or you indicated in the question, that the farmer is humble. Amazing. Don't change that. That will not go right if you stop being humble. Be humble. And with that humbleness, share your story. Just apply. Like my question to, hey, should I apply or not? Yes, you should. Like, just apply. Just apply and share the invitation to apply with others. Don't think twice about it. Just apply is what,
And I'll add to that this is when you are already a role model to us, just by the nature of this work. And we wish we could take more than 50 farmers every single year. That would be a dream and amazing. And that is also why we add 50 new farmers every single year. And top 50 is not a ranking. It isn't a list of number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, etc., because that's so subjective, and that's also not the point. This is about us raising our voices as a movement and showcasing these diverse stories, creating the platform so that we can further create the conditions for change, that all of regeneration can rise, and really resting on that idea of a rising tide lifts all boats. So please know that no matter where you are in your journey, we want you to apply, and we want to find some kind of way to support you. And to that point, we also take a wide variety of farmers at their different stage of transition. So in order to apply for top 50 farmers, your business has to be based in the EU, the EEA, or the UK, and you must be registered as a farm business. You must be practicing holistic management and have been applying regenerative practices for at least 1 year, as well as not using any kind of chemical or synthetic inputs and making sure that your crops spend the majority of their life in the soil. With that said, we know that this is a journey and that there is no point where you get a gold star or an A plus and you can declare yourself fully regenerative. That doesn't happen. This is a mindset and a way of being and a way of running a business. So we do take, I would say, 10 to 15% of the cohort are folks that are currently in transition, meaning they've been doing these practices for a year. They're not totally there, but they're in process. And that's very deliberate because while we want to have these gold star examples that have been doing it for a long time, we also want to show that there's a path and there's various stages of the path. And your family's in transition in some regards. You've been doing this. I mean, you've had an incredible journey of converting a very large farm of 700 now plus hectares from these traditional conventional cereals to grasslands. And I know that you're also in the process of phasing out some of the chemicals that you use as you wait for certain markets to open up. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit about your regenerative transition and what made your family in the beginning even say, yeah, we're going to move away from conventional and step into the unknown and be one of the pioneering farmers in our country doing this kind of crazy thing.
Yes. So we were not, the goal when we were making the decisions to move towards regeneration was not, we want to be one of the top, farmers in Poland doing that. The logic was, we want to, as we always wanted, but the model, the ecosystem was less possible than it is possible right now. We want to run a resilient business. So that was the thinking. Hey, we are in one model. Then opportunity for transformation came. We were in one model that was made possible back then, or was possible back then, which was rooted on production of cash crops, limited amount of cash crops, wheat and rapeseed canola, for those of you who are using that name for rapeseed, and some beans, but very little beans. Using heavy tillage equipment because partly the tillage technologies for using no-till were not available, and given the soil types we have had and weather that we have had back then, which now has changed since, climate change is real, that was what was making sense. Part of that system was that we were very highly dependent on inputs, on putting resources to deliver our cash flow, and the percentage profit out of that work was little with high risk. Then Poland enters the European Union, which is a dream that we have for Serbia as well, that I visited last week, thanks to Top 50 Farmers, and that was very present, and it was crazy to sharing that dream, being kind of on the other side, now being a beneficiary, a huge beneficiary of the European Union as a Polish farmer and as a Polish citizen. So we were supported, as well as limited, if you will, regulated, maybe not fancy words, but regulation is a very big part of agriculture, and good regulation is not bad. So we enter the European Union, we have an opportunity to transform ourselves, which is, and this is the key question that most of the farmers didn't ask. We were blessed really to ask this question because we were not, really knowing that we are asking a pivotal question. But the question we've been asking is, how can we transform this farm from one model that we are in to another model that we are in? We were not asking ourselves, which is what most of the farmers were thinking, how do we produce more? But we were asking, hey, how do we make more money? How do we transform ourselves? And the decisions followed. The practices that probably everyone listening to this recording and live will quickly or straight away associate with regenerative agriculture, mineral tillage, cover crops, wide rotation, were the response to that, by the way, supported by the policy. And then once that mindset was there, we just continued on the journey. And then around 2016, we started actually learning the language to tell the story. the language of regeneration, the language of climate change, of ecosystem boundaries, of ecosystem services, of ecosystem cycles. And then that turned out to be very important for policy work, especially building a bridge between climate and agricultural policy. That's why carbon as a language for building that bridge, right? Not carbon payments, which are a part of that, but very small part. Carbon is a language to build the bridge. So that story in a snapshot. We were trying, as we always have been, to run a resilient business, delivering healthy returns in risk-adjusted way. And we are delighted to be doing that for real since 2004.
That's amazing. I always love hearing the story of how every farmer comes into this space and finds their way, and whatever their motivation may be. It's amazing to see, and it's awesome that we're building more and more in the direction of strong and resilient businesses and business models that really do work and are diversified. That's what it's all about. So we're rounding out on our time here. Time flies when you're having fun. And I'm wondering if you have any final words for the farmers who are listening to this and who are, looking at you going, okay, he did it. Maybe I can do it too. But what would be your words of encouragement to them?
You can do it, and thank you for doing it in the first place. There's never too late to start. If somehow you are hearing regeneration for the first time this call, it's perfect. It's amazing timing to start. But I know, or I assume most of us, of our listeners, are already on the way. So just continue doing great work. Give yourself a chance by applying to Top 50 Farmers Cohort 2 for being supported in that work, and let other farmers know that this opportunity exists. And I guess bigger invitation is, if you are from other parts of the world, think about, hey, what can we do? Like speaking with right investors or leveraging right networks to help Top 50 farmers, Latin America or North America or Africa, sometimes down the line, because it's truly global. And I'm very blessed to be in the geography that is chosen to be the first to launch Top 50 Farmers in, but it's truly global. And if you are not a farmer, my invitation always is very, very simple. Just visit a farmer. And if you are from Europe, go to Top 50 Farmers, look for farmer closest to you and visit him or her.
Yes. And 1,000% want to back up what you said. I'm going to be the cheesy American right now and say you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So just apply, see what happens. You never know. Give yourself the opportunity. What's the cost of not taking the risk and just going for it? 2 is that we do ask that every farmer that applies submit an application, but you can also be nominated. So if you're tuning in and listening to this and you know of a farmer that you think would be a great fit for this opportunity, you can go to our website, www.top50farmers.org, and click the nominate button. It will send them the application and your words of encouragement that they should apply for this opportunity. We see that can have a transformational impact in terms of getting folks across the line. Sometimes it takes 4 nominations that they hear from 4 different people to finally go, okay, maybe I should consider this and go for this, but it does make a difference. And of course, you can check out all of the farmers on our website, as well as on our Instagram and LinkedIn. You'll see their stories, and you'll also see the ways that you can support them. So beyond just buying regenerative products and supporting the farms, visiting the farms, there's a wide variety of volunteer opportunities or other ways to get involved. So if you've been looking for ways to plug into the regenerative ecosystem, you can definitely find it on the top50farmers.org website. So thank you so much for being with us today, for sharing your story. And we'll say goodbye.